What happened? Did you switch it to speaker view or something?
Yep, I got you.
All right. All right. This is People versus Michael Hallman. This is case number 19-12191 FH. We're here for a probation violation hearing. And Mr. Hallman, you're represented by Mr. Greer today. I think I had previously appointed. Were you originally appointed, Mr. Greer? Because Rick was.
No, I'm here for Mr. Springstead.
And Mr. Hallman, Mr. Prysock was on vacation. We wanted to get you in for a hearing as soon as we could. Does it meet with your approval to have Mr. Greer represent you today?
Yes, Your Honor, I talked to him.
Okay. All right, and can you put your appearance on the record for me, sir?
Thank you. No, I'm sorry.
Oh, good morning, Judge, Assistant Attorney General Emmanuel Mr. Coker, on behalf of the people.
All right. And Mr. Greer, does your client wish to go forward with the contested hearing today?
No, Your Honor, he will plead.
All right. And there's been a recommendation from the probation department that he be continued on probation with increased supervision level, and any future violations would be referred to the court for an application for additional sanctions. It doesn't appear that there's any recommendation for jail. I want the parties to know that I would not rule out the possibility of jail for Mr. Hallman, depending on the circumstances. We've allegedly seen the arrearages grow from $30,000 to $45,000, and really not very many payments whatsoever. So what I think these allegations would be considered a technical violation, which I think this is his first probation violation, which I think the most I could do with him on a first time technical violation, I think it's 15 days. Hang on just a sec, let me check. I'm getting there. Sorry for the little delay here. Yeah, looks like the most I could do is 15 days. You understand that, Mr. Hallman?
No, I don't.
That if you were to enter a plea of guilty today, because this would be considered a technical violation, that you could be looking at up to 15 days in jail. Now, I'm not telling you that I would definitely impose the amount of jail time on a plea, but I wanted to let you know that I may deviate from the recommendation from the probation agent.
Okay, can I have the record reflect that I have sent $400 last Wednesday and I have sent $100 today?
All right. But Mr. Hallman, your attorney indicated that you wanted to enter a guilty plea today. Is that still correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Would you raise your right hand, please, sir? Do you solemnly swear, oath, or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right. So the agreement in this case is that if you enter a plea of guilty to violating your probation for failing to pay child support, habitual offender third, that is a felony which carries up to 8 years in prison. And your original advisory guidelines suggested a sentence between 2 and 25. Do you understand that that's the crime that you were on probation for?
Yes.
All right. And do you understand that the allegations that you're pleading guilty to read as follows? Count 1, that you violated special condition number 4.16 to obey all court orders, and that on or about March 16, 2021, you had failed to make payments as arranged and ordered toward child support arrearages as ordered by the Laredo County in front of the court. Do you understand the allegations contained in count 1?
Yes, Your Honor.
Count 2, that you violated special condition number 6.4, that you must make genuine efforts to obtain and maintain full-time employment, and that as of March 15, 2021, that you failed to obtain or maintain full-time employment. Do you understand the allegations contained in count 2?
Yes.
All right. And the other part of the agreement is that you'd be extended on probation, and that you'd be looking at that up to 15 days in jail. Do you understand that?
Yes.
And have you had sufficient time to consult with Mr. Greer about these allegations in this case?
No, but I have with Mr. Brysock.
Consulted with Mr. Prysack before Mr.
Okay.
Prysack left,
All
Your
right.
Honor.
And then subject to the agreement, how do you wish to plead to violating your probation?
Guilty.
Do you understand that if I accept your guilty plea, that you're giving up the right to contest these allegations at a hearing?
Well, the guilty of non-payment, but there's circumstances that are leading up to this.
Well, I think that those issues may go more towards the imposition of jail time or not. But if you think that those circumstances would be a defense or something that would cause the prosecution not to be able to meet their burden of proof in this case, then you would want to contest the allegations. So, but I'm not sure by what you said which way you want to go.
I'm not really sure myself, because I'm going through medical evaluations at Gerber Memorial.
And what does that have to do with?
Well, because if I can't even get a medical clearance, there's no possibility of work.
Your Honor, I think perhaps Mr. Prysack indicated in the note he may be unable to work due to medical issues. So perhaps count 1, that he has failed to make the payments as ordered, would be more to the point in this case. And perhaps count 2, that he hasn't maintained full-time employment, could be dismissed upon a plea to count 1. I'm just throwing that out there, Your Honor. You can plea enter.
That's correct.
But you've been on probation for since November 12th of 2019. So it may be relevant as to sentencing, but I don't know enough about this medical condition.
Well,
When you had it, how long when you sought to try and, when you sought to cure the medical condition, whether you had any information or any conversations with your probation agent about this
Yes.
medical condition and failing and not being able to work.
Yes,
I don't
I
know.
have. I've been trying to inform them of everything, especially the driver's license. I have no DUIs and no problems with my driver's license, but I can't drive because of child support. So how can I pay child support if I can't drive?
No, apparently you weren't paying child support when you could drive. So it's kind of a catch-22. So I'll turn it over to the Assistant Attorney General. I guess there's been a proposal and the court doesn't care. What are your thoughts on dismissing count 2, which would be the failure to obtain and maintain full-time employment if he pleads to failing to obey the court orders to pay? Do you have any objection to that?
That's fine, Judge. It sounds, again, I am not fully aware of the conversations Mr. Holman may or may not have had with his probation agent. But given his statements today, I think there's a question on whether or not he made efforts to maintain full employment as alleged. So at this point, people are fine with if he pleads to count 1, dismiss count 2 at this time.
Thank you.
All right. So, Mr. Hum, I'll start back over. Do you understand that if you go forward with a plea of guilty today, that you'd be giving up the right to contest this allegation, this count 1, at a hearing?
May I advise Mr. Greer, does that sound correct?
It does, Mr. Almond. That's a good resolution.
Okay. Then I will take attorney's recommendation.
All right. Do you also understand that by entering this guilty plea, that you'd be giving up the rights that you would have at a contested probation violation hearing?
Yes.
We provided those rights to you in writing. Did you read that document?
Yes.
Did you understand those rights?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about the rights that you would have at this hearing that you'd be giving up?
No, sir.
Has anyone threatened you to get you to make this plea?
No.
Has anyone promised you an outcome different than what we've discussed in court today?
No, sir.
Are you entering this plea of your own free will and free choice?
Yes, Your Honor.
You understand that if I accept your guilty plea, that you're giving up the right to later claim that the plea was not of your choice and that it was the result of any promise, threat, or inducement that you don't disclose to me today?
Yes, Your Honor.
You now give up your right to contest these allegations at a hearing and all the rights that you would have at that hearing and affirm your guilty plea. Mr. Hallman?
Yes.
All right. Do you now give up your right to have a contested hearing and all the rights that you would have at that contested hearing and affirm your guilty plea?
Yes, Your Honor. Sorry.
Are you pleading guilty because you are guilty, or is there some other reason for offering this plea today?
No, I'm pleading guilty because I failed to make the payment.
All right. Is it true then that back on, looks like January 21st, 2020, that you were placed on probation of this court for the felony offense of failing to pay child support, habitual offender third, and 8-year felony?
Yes.
Is it also true that a condition of your probation was that you obey all court orders?
Yes.
Is it also true that as of March 16, 2021, that you violated condition 4.16 and that you failed to make payments as arranged and ordered toward child support arrearages as ordered by the Laredo County Friend of the Court.
Yes, and I upholded all your other recommendations.
All right, so what payments have you made since you've been on probation?
Last fall, between August and October, I had a full-time job. I paid a little over $2,000. And then after this year, when I got the first stimulus check, I paid half of that in February. And I just sent $400 on May 3rd, last week, Wednesday, electronically through the state of Michigan. And I also sent $100 today, electronically.
All right. Michelle Hallman indicates that since October 2020, that she had only received one payment amount of $280.96. Do you agree with that?
Since last October?
Yes.
Yeah, that would be after the job, yes.
And that your current monthly responsibility or order was for $1,103 a month. Is that correct?
Yes. And that, when I was working, that wasn't even, it was still under that because it was more than 50% or 60%.
And that prior to filing this probation violation, the last payment they'd received was February 5th, 2021 for $300. Do you agree with that?
Yes, other than last week, I guess it didn't show up yet, but I got proof of it.
And during this time that you've been on probation, is it true that your arrearages have grown, excluding any payment that you've made that hasn't been docketed, grew from $30,062.73 to $45,142.90?
Yes, that appears correct.
All right. Are the attorneys aware of any promises, threats, or inducements which have not been stated on the record?
No, Judge.
No, Your Honor.
Is the defendant competent to enter this plea?
Yes, Your Honor.
Has the court complied with the court rule for taking a plea in a probation violation case?
Court has.
Yes, Your Honor.
Right, the court does accept the plea. I do find it to be knowing, understanding, voluntary, and accurate. There's been kind of an update report along with the probation violation report. Do the parties wish to proceed to sentencing today?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Coker?
Yes, that's fine, Judge.
Was that updated report timely made available to the prosecution and defense?
It was, Your Honor.
I guess I'm not, to be clear, what report the court is referring to. I have one report dated April 27th of 2021.
That's the one, sir. Yep.
Okay, yes, I do have that, Judge.
All right. And Mr. Greer, have you and/or Mr. Prysock had an opportunity to read the report and discuss it with Mr. Hallman?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have any additions, corrections, or challenges?
No, Your Honor.
Anything that you want to say on his behalf?
I would ask the court to consider the fact that Mr. Allman has attempted to show a good faith effort by paying $600, I believe, in the last 7 days. I don't know what his medical is. Mr. Prysack appeared to think that he maybe have a medical issue, which is why he couldn't work. I would ask the court to consider that. I think the extended probation would give Mr. Hallman a good opportunity to catch this up and show the court that he's serious about paying these arrears.
All right, and Mr. Hallman, have you had the opportunity to read that report and discuss it with Mr. Prysock and or Mr. Greer?
Yes, I did briefly with Mr. Prysock.
Do you have any additions, corrections, or challenges to that report?
No, I just want the court to know that I have a medical something. I lost 15 or 20 pounds in the last month and a half. I'm going through blood work and x-rays at Gerber Memorial in Fremont. And that's not a way out of my child support. I don't know what's wrong with me. And I don't have COVID and they're trying to figure it out. That's why I talk like this. I had cancer in my throat 3 years ago. And that's what started this snowball effect with the child support. Because up until this point, I have paid Newaygo County $87,000. So I don't have a history of not paying. I just had a history of not paying in the last 3 years. Up until that point, I had good payment record.
All right, you indicated that from August to October, was that 2019 or 2020 that you were working?
2020, I worked at Archer in Kent City because it was close enough where I could ride a mountain bike 3 miles one way and 3 miles back until it was a temp service. And when we got done making the medical shields for the COVID, they laid everybody off.
How much were you making at Archer?
I was making, it was $13 an hour, but I was paying about $219 a week child support, and I was receiving about $200.
All right, from the time that you were placed on probation up until August of 2020, were you working?
No, sir, I wasn't.
Why not?
Well, I live with my sister, and she takes off at 6 o'clock in the morning. She's a school bus driver. And so my next option was to find a job that was close enough that I could either walk or ride a bike to, or to find a ride that was going by my house. I'm 25 miles from any public transportation, which I know is not the court's fault. I live way out in the country, and I'm just trying to find employment. The first question they ask me is, do I have a driver's license? And even if I don't, do I have dependable transportation? So them are the two strikes against me. And then the third one is my background check.
So my notes indicate that at one point you were a union iron worker and you'd been doing that sort of work for 17 years. Is that right?
Yes, sir. That's what I'd like to talk to you, because when you sentenced me, you figured that I would do all right because of my work history, but I lost my journeyman's book. So it's going to cost $600 to reinstate my book. And I definitely need a driver's license for that.
What's entailed in losing a journeyman's book? I mean, is it a physical book or is that a term in the trades?
Yeah, it's a status of the trade. When you get journeyman status, it's basically a 4-year training that I went through to go from an apprentice to a journeyman. And when you lose that book, you have to rebuy the book. Well, we don't have a union per se in Grand Rapids no more. It's in Detroit. So I would physically have to go down to Detroit and figure that out. And then the work could be anywhere, which I know I'd need permission to leave the state, but it would definitely probably be no closer than an hour from home. I mean, I could possibly do that, but I have to work first to get the money to pay it, you know.
But you could still work as an apprentice iron worker, right?
No, I have to reinstate completely because I've been out for so long. I don't know what the stipulation of the time is, but after after you don't pay union dues and you're off the books for so long, then it's like you're like on a suspended status.
So why weren't you paying union dues to maintain your status?
Well, the year before I was in jail for 8 months. I couldn't afford to pay it. I couldn't afford to keep up on it. And usually when you're working, a portion of it is paid. And then the first time, I believe was in 2017 or 18, I got behind over 10,000 in child support. My driver's license was suspended. And I'm not going to drive with a suspended driver's license. I know many people do. I'm not going to do that.
What would prevent you from moving to where the jobs are instead of trying to rely on your sister to drive you or to ride a bike? I mean, move to a city where there's iron work, or where there's other work.
Well,
Did you ever consider that?
No, I didn't consider that. I didn't even know if that was an option, but I hear what you're saying.
All right.
I would love to come up with a way to make this right.
And during the time that you weren't working, were you receiving any unemployment benefits?
Nope, no unemployment. And I filled out a questionnaire for the FOC that I brought to your attention. I don't know if you've even seen that yet. And that has my medical issues on there, my bank accounts, any assets.
Did you apply for unemployment?
No, I did not apply for unemployment because that's another issue in itself. When the state of Michigan charged everybody with back child support, they say that I also owe them $4,000. That I don't know how, that I was apparently working and drawing unemployment at the time, which there's no record of. It all goes by my social security number when I work iron work, and anybody, it's public knowledge if I'm working because it goes by my social security.
All
So
right.
I can't draw.
Mr. Coker, do you have any additions, corrections, or challenges to the report?
I do not have any additions, deletions, corrections to the report, Judge. I do realize that under the new legislation, the court's limited to a 15-day jail sort of cap in this matter. I would like to inform the court that I did speak with the victim, Michelle Hallman, last week, and she expressed to me that she wished to have the court impose jail time in this case because, and from her perspective, I think the report does sort of express this in some fashion, that she's been going a very substantial amount of time without any consistent payment from Mr. Hallman. I realize that if you put him in jail, that payments aren't going to come anyway. But again, from Miss Hallman's perspective, she's not getting paid either way. And I would just note that, his current support is over $1,000, and Mr. Harmon doesn't seem to pay his numerous months where nothing's being paid, and I think that's concerning.
So, Mr. Hallman, when is your next doctor's appointment?
Since I didn't have a family doctor, they're doing financial things. I was 6 weeks out. It's about 4 weeks out right now. And I got documentation from Gerber that I could send the court or whatever. They did blood work and x-rays of my lungs because I couldn't breathe. I thought I had the COVID, but apparently I don't. And they
All right.
just don't know what.
All right, in this case, the court recognizes that the advisory guidelines would suggest a sentence between 2 and 25 months. The courts can exercise my discretion and sentence consistent with the advisory guidelines and consistent with the statute. The court is going to order that Mr. Hallman serve 7 days in the Nuevo County Jail. That's in addition to the 132 days that he's already served. When do you want to start that jail time, Mr. Hallman? Today, tomorrow?
I thought we agreed to no jail time, but I guess can I at least have a day?
All right, why don't you appear to start serving your jail time tomorrow, which would be March 11th at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
The court is
May
going to,
11th, Judge.
what did I say?
We said March.
Oh, yeah, May 11th, May 11th at 9 o'clock. And the court is going to continue the defendant on probation with an increased supervision level as recommended. In this case, Mr. Hallman, there's always a fine line between reasons and excuses. And I think you've kind of crossed over from reasons why you can't work to excuses. You need to start problem solving your situation. Assuming that you're healthy, you need to go where the work is. The work is not going to come to you. If the current ordered support is more than you can pay or more than you can make, you know that there's ways to file with the front of the court to modify that based on what your current income is. And also, depending on what your medical situation is, that'll factor as well. But it doesn't do you any good to have child support increasing an amount that assumes that you're working when you're not working. But the court doesn't automatically stop that. You have to go through the court. There's a process to address that. You understand that?
I do now.
All right. All right. So you do have the right to make application for leave to appeal your conviction. If you could not afford an attorney, the court would appoint an attorney to represent you on the appeal. Request for a lawyer must be filed with the court within 42 days. That's all for today.
Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Coker.
Thank you.
All right, I'll be back at 1:15
I can't wait.
on the dot.
I'll be sitting here waiting for you, Mr. Greer.
Yeah,
All right.
I get to go to the jail now.
All right. So next up, we have Mr. Rake. You're on mute, Mr. Danian.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. And Mr. Rake, I can't see you. I know that you've logged in before. Can you adjust your device so I can see and hear you, please? We can stop live streaming for a minute.